Welcome to HIT 500 Health Statistics. We have a lot of work to complete in the next 11 weeks, and I do want to stress that it's going to be important to keep up with your weekly assignments and to especially reach out if you have any questions or concerns. This is a statistics class. We do have math, but it's not going to be really difficult, I promise. Now, if you haven't had a math class in a while, I do not want you to stress, okay? It's going to be okay, I promise you. But before we get into tonight's actual curriculum, let's kick things off the right way. We have a few things that we have to cover this very first live session. You will be reminded weekly on different things that need to be submitted. So Sunday, make sure you get everything in by 11:59. Knowledge checks, your applying reflections, make sure that feedback, that quiz is done every Sunday by 11:59, except on September 21st, 2024. So September 21st, Saturday, is the last day of the module. So you want to have things done, preferably the 20th, so that if you haven't taken the final already, that is the last thing you have to worry about, okay? Also, mark your calendars. Career Services will be with us. Make sure that you guys can see everything. Career Services will be with us on August 6th. That is week 5. So normally that would be our midterm week where I kind of go over everything, but do not stress. I'm going to kind of go through what I would normally go through and have an additional video, not a requirement for you to watch, but just, kind of recapping the last 4 weeks. So August 6th, week 5, Career Services will be in the house. Okay. I just didn't want y'all to forget that. Now, office hours are scheduled 1 hour before. So 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time. I am here, but I know that life gets busy. So if you need me at any other time, y'all reach out, text me, Moodle message me, email me, and then we can set up a time because I know this is a statistics class. So especially if you haven't had math in a while, I get it. And I'm here for you. Okay. How will our class be ran? Well, we have our math trivia, which is a little bit different than my quote of the week, but it's still going to be fun and inspirational, I think. But it does break up the monotony of kind of thinking, oh my goodness, I have this math class to go to, okay? The very first 2 chapters, chapter 1 is an introduction, and chapter 2 is kind of breaking down addition, subtraction, fractions, okay? So bear with me this very first week, but it's really going to set the foundation as we move forward, all right? Now, for those of you who are watching this archive, what is the last day of the module? Date, day, and time. And let's discuss that or provide your answer in the discussion forum. We're going to wrap everything up. And at the wrap up, if you are comfortable with this week's apply and reflection, your live session is complete. But I am going to go over the apply and reflection for week 1. It's just something that I just like doing just to kind of get you back into the swing of things. And then come Thursday of each week, the kind of preview guide for the upcoming weeks will be provided for you. Okay, so you'll have kind of like that guide because it is a lot of mathematical word problem kind of questions. And so I kind of just broke those down for you so that you have that as an additional resource. Now we know things are a little bit different this module, nothing bad, but I do want to kind of go over some of the things that we're going to be looking at. So I'm pulling up our class, and just to show you, they're already up. So Thursday, this is going to populate and so on. If for some reason Thursday comes and it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon and it still hasn't populated, someone just reach out to me. I may have to kind of just manually push it forward, but they should be populating. Course dates are here, and they're broken down by weeks for you, as well as an additional reminder of that last day of the module. With that, make sure you're looking at the syllabus, okay? The syllabus just provides great information. It's going to have another reminder for our office hours, as well as our live session. It's all Pacific Standard Time, so we are here. And a good reminder on just ensuring that we all know that we don't not just have to score 75% or above in the course, but as well as the final to advance to module 6. Okay, so make sure you're going back through that as well. Okay, now we're getting into our first week of learning. And so it's always good to recap. We're kind of at that midway point in the program. You have 4 modules behind you, and actually, yeah, 4 modules behind you, 2 modules ahead of you, and you're graduating. So keep in mind that we have our learning module, and right now we're in the discussion section, right? Because we are here, we're having our live session, we're going over some important information. Then you're going to move on to your apply and reflection, where you're kind of thinking, looking, going through, in our case, a lot of the math problems that we're going to kind of touch on during our live session. And then in the 4th section of our learning module, you get to assess, and I don't like to say quiz, but you're assessing how well you understood the information, okay? The other thing is to not forget that there is a library. Now, for you, those of you who are here, I'm going to put the link to the orientation, if you haven't seen it already, to the virtual CBD College Library, and it just goes through how to get to it, learn your librarians, if there's any questions that you may have, and especially as you're getting ready to get ready and gear up for your RHIT exam, there's a lot of resources there for you. So I highly encourage you to, if not, just check it out. For those of you who are watching the archive, this link is going to be provided in the discussion forum underneath the video archive link, okay? Now, the other thing that I kind of wanted to make sure we understood, at weeks 5 and week 11, you're going to see your professionalism score. Now, with week 5, I'm looking from this week all the way to week 5, and then week 11, and so on, right? So you get it. Now, what are we looking at? So we're looking at your reliability. Are you completing your assignments on time, or informing us, letting me know that, hey, there was an issue? Because that's the same thing, right? Like, there's an issue with an assignment and you're working diligently on it. Hey, you're being reliable. You're letting me know, hey, professor, something's not working. Okay. How are you participating? Well, in our classes is a little bit different because we're going to be working out these problems together. So we have a lot of group work because we're not in this by ourselves. But I'm going to be looking at, how are you participating in the class? How comfortable you are. Because remember, we're all learning, and I really don't want anyone to feel like, oh my goodness, I really don't want to answer. We're all in this together, y'all. With that, we look at teamwork, how we are collaborating with our peers in our live discussions. Your quality for us is a little bit different because it's statistics. So you aren't trying to do the bare minimum, right? You are trying to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, especially when it comes to kind of figuring out different calculations and formula that we're going to work on. And this one really does affect us. Communication is big because there's going to be times where you may not understand the information. I do not want you to, fear reaching out. Okay. Let me know if there is something that you're just like, help me, because that's what I'm here for. With that, it says on there, respond to all Moodle messages, emails, texts, phone calls in a professional manner. We're looking at professionalism in, I would say, this module, you guys got this. So module 6, module 7, you're going to be in the field. So it's going to be really important on how you're responding and, using that professionalism, because you may be the boss and you're going to have to send out mass emails or mass texts, right? And so you want to just make sure that you're starting even earlier and using that professionalism. Now, it's not saying that if I send a message in announcements, because we know I send a lot of announcements in Moodle, that you're responding to everything. It's more on if I'm like, hey, Rosa, you're missing this, right? So it's just saying that we're having that open communication with each other. So, I'm not saying like you are on your phone and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta respond right now. No, but, let me know that you got it, and vice versa. Like, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, my goal is to respond to you guys within 24 hours. I'm hoping I'm doing better than that, but that's the standard. So we're just flipping it and letting you know, hey, like when I'm reaching out, making sure you're okay, we're doing that professional courtesy. So that is one of the biggest things that I feel like has helped us. And it's just going to take us to the next notch. Like we're just upping our game. Okay. Now, of course, your knowledge checks. You have 2 attempts. However, we will be using Quizlet, not a requirement, but I have different, like week 1, week 2. I'm still going to do it once I see how many highly missed questions. But again, that's going to be populated. You'll get that Monday morning, and it's going to really help as you gear up for your midterm and your final. Okay. I'm also going to give the midterm Quizlet a little bit earlier. Normally I wait to like that Friday of week 4, but I'm going to probably give it a little bit earlier, maybe that Monday of week 4, just so that you have it and you're not, it really helps with anxiety, because you guys are going to know this information. I promise you. Okay. Any questions with that? I know that was a lot, but any questions with anything that I mentioned? I know you guys know the updates, but it doesn't hurt to kind of hear it again, and maybe even in a different way. This is the criteria, by the way, in front of you too. So you kind of have that to kind of see. And then I made this AI picture. Very happy about, trying different things, but that's the criteria.
No, I don't have any questions.
Perfect. Okay. All right.
But with the
Now,
2 attempts, though, is that gonna it's only giving us a total of 20 questions for that week, depending on how many chapters, we
yeah.
have, there's gonna be so many questions towards that chapter. Is that gonna be enough to get us to the midterm and our final?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
enough questions? Oh, okay.
Yes, because the one thing I can tell you about the midterm and the final is, because we're a statistics class, there's only so many different types of calculation. A lot of the calculations are going to be the same, meaning that terms will be changed. Once we get in it, it'll completely make sense. When we start looking at the formulas and what you're changing and what you're doing. So you may have, let's say, we're going to do at one point calculating FTEs, right? Which is full-time employees. And I think that's week 8, 7 or 8. But there's only so many ways you can calculate FTEs. So you may see 3 questions on just FTEs. And once you have that basic foundation of how to do the first one, the next one are just like, doop, 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 doop. There is no matching. So that's a big one, because we know that took up a lot of time. So that actually helps as well. So, but these are great questions, but most definitely will help you with the midterm and your final.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so how do we run here? Well, I like to do math trivia, where I ask a silly question that is out in the universe. So the very first one is, what is the only number that has the same number of letters as its meaning? And it is the number 4. And then math is the only place people can buy 64 watermelons and no one wonders why. Like, what? Who's coming up with this? So this is kind of like our little icebreakers before each class, before we kind of dive into our information, okay? Now, for this first week, I want y'all to just sit back, relax, because like I said, this is just an intro. Like, it's a huge recap. We're looking at the introduction to health statistics. Now, I don't know if you have taken a statistics class in the past. What I can tell you is that this statistics class is slightly different. We get to statistical terms, inferential statistics, at week 10. Okay, so hopefully that is a little like, oh, okay. So what are we doing before then? Well, we are going to, in the first chapter, look at what is healthcare statistics in the first place. It's like breaking everything down. We're looking at information, we're looking at validity, we're looking at descriptive terms. We're not calculating anything at this moment, okay? And then we look at who's even using healthcare statistics. In chapter 2, like I mentioned, it's the basic math kind of setting us up for success, okay? We get to the term statistics.
Statistics, basic concepts. What is statistics? Let's say you have a lot of information, such as names, ages, heights, and eye color of different people. If you organize and use this data in order to look at the group as a whole, you're using statistics. Statistics is a type of math that teaches you how to collect and analyze data or information in order to find answers and make decisions. It's commonly used by organizations like governments and companies to make predictions based on facts. For example, you might be familiar with Netflix, the streaming service for watching TV shows and movies. They collect lots of information from viewers so that they can suggest other content that they think you might like. This makes the Netflix experience feel more personalized. Since Netflix makes some of its own content, they also use data to determine if they should produce a new movie or show. This is based on predictions about whether it will be popular with viewers or not. Statistics is also used in fields like healthcare, economics, and education. Medical researchers use it to study if new medicines are effective. Economists study consumer trends, and education experts track information about students, like graduation rates. While there are different methods for gathering and analyzing data, just remember, statistics helps us to discover its value in order to make better decisions. Feel free to check out our other videos or our free tutorial on basic statistics to learn more.
So that's our
GCF
introduction,
Global,
just getting us
creating opportunities for a better
mentally
life.
ready for what we have ahead of us for the next 11 weeks. We look at statistic being just a number computed. And then statistics, I have seen questions about, what is a branch of mathematics concerned with collecting, organizing, summarizing, and analyzing data? Well, we're in health statistics, so it is statistics versus statistic, okay? Now, we've gotten the basic understanding, okay? We're going to take a closer look. We have statistics, we have statistic, but now we're going to look at health statistics, where we're providing information about the health of people and their utilization of actual healthcare services. We look at it being relevant. We want it to be applicable to what we're looking for, and reliable, meaning there's some type of consistency of the results. Now, we get into descriptive statistics. We're describing what the data show about the characteristics of an actual sample. They tell us information about a particular population. Inferential statistics help us make they help us make guesses about a larger group of data or population by drawing conclusions from a smaller group of data. So we're going over the terms, and then, like I mentioned in week 10, is where we're going to actually break them down. So now we're just getting ourselves acquainted to the information. We look at ways that descriptive statistics unveil details or insights that empower us to confidently draw conclusions about larger populations. So we take a snapshot of sample characteristics, okay? We're looking at central tendencies or variabilities. We're leveraging this understanding, trying to figure out what's going on, and using inferential statistics, we're able to make educated guesses, okay, about what's going on. But it's important to know that there's going to be some type of uncertainty, okay? We have 95% confident interval. Like, we know that there's still that small possibility that it may not be what we think it is, okay? We look at descriptive statistics, outlining the features, the patterns within a sample, and you're facilitating the identification of outliers and providing context for data interpretation. Now, it's important to kind of recognize that assumptions and limitations of inferential methods, considering that there is some type of uncertainty where you're looking at findings from a sample of a population, because remember, it's a sample. It's not like we're able to physically touch 100% of the individuals. There's going to be outliers. It's really important to understand primary and secondary sources of information. When we look at primary, we're looking at health records, vital statistics, the census. When we're looking at secondary, we are looking at, let's say, tools that you craft from these primary treasures to just navigate your journey and make it more efficiency. They might be like, trying to break this down, maps you draw based on your own observations. Okay, for example, you might analyze health records to identify certain patterns and create different strategies for hospital operations, okay? Or you could use vital statistics to pinpoint areas needed for more healthcare resources. Your secondary sources are your key to just unlocking the full potential of the primary data. So you're taking that primary data and you're kind of breaking it down more. And now you're able to say, hey, we do need this in, let's say, the ED or the ICU, okay? Now, where do we get this information from? First one you see is your census. The census tells us who we are and where we're going as a nation. It helps our communities to determine where to build everything from schools to supermarkets, from homes to hospitals. It also helps the government decide how to distribute those funds and assist it to different states and localities. We get our facility departments, and you kind of see, keeps count of patients. We get our primary information from our vital statistics, different examples, birth, death records. Now, in your apply and reflection, you're going to have an exercise that we're going to cover later that's going to be directly related to vital statistics. Now, keep in mind, these include birth, death, marriage, divorce. State government vital records issues a lot of different documents. Now, anybody can get a copy, okay? You just have to go down to the records office in the state where the particular event occurred. Let's recap really quick. What score, and I know everyone knows this one, must you obtain on the final exam to pass the score, the minimum score? The minimum. What is the minimum score you need to pass this course?
75%.
Yes, 75%. That is correct. And what happens in week 5, which is August 6th, 2024? Do you guys remember? It's week 5.
Midterm?
Midterm.
Midterms. And who will be hosting? I guess I should have said that. Who will be hosting the
Oh,
live
career
session?
services.
Yes. Career Services will be here on August 6th. They're going to be hosting, I believe it's session 3, but they will be here hosting. I'll be here too, but they're going to be the primary hosts for that live session. Okay. Now, who uses health statistics? Well, healthcare admin, department managers, registries, nursing facilities, hospice, mental health facilities, drug and alcohol facilities, outpatient, managed care organizations, healthcare researchers, accredited agencies, and the government. So that is chapter 1 in a nutshell, just kind of touching base on what health statistics is all about, okay? You'll notice that with our chapters, they're not necessarily going to be long, but we do a lot of examples in class where I'm going to pull out my calculator. I'm going to ask you guys to check my work. I'm a true believer of trust, but always verify because I am human. So sometimes we go a little bit faster. Sometimes it may take a little bit longer, just depending on if there's multiple formulas that we're going to be working with, or if it's kind of like cut and dry and we're golden, okay? Now, again, with chapter 2, bear with me. This is a mathematical review, okay? So we're talking about review of math terms, concepts. Again, this is the foundation of what we will be doing over the next 11 weeks. So when I mean foundation, we're talking about looking at decimals, ratios, numerators, denominators, rounding whole numbers, proper conversions, because there's a lot of times where we got to convert before we can even get to add things to our formulas, and then computing averages and means. So again, bear with me. We get fractions, okay? A number expressed as a quotient in which a numerator is divided by a denominator. So you see your examples, 1/2, 2/3, 4/5. Now, when we talk about the quotient, it's obtained after the process of division, right? So we have a divisor that divides, and then the answer is what we get. That's the quotient. In other words, it can be found using a formula, dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. We have in this example, 12 is our dividend, divided by 2, which is our divisor, giving us our quotient, which is 6, the number resulting from the division of one number by another, okay? We have decimal fractions. Now, write this down somewhere. In your apply and reflection, there are going to be instances where you get the answer and let's say it's 5. Okay, the answer is 5. However, the instructions will say calculate to 1 decimal place, which means that you're going to put 5 decimal place 0. A lot of times facilities, they want specifics. You may see moving forward where they'll tell you, and I will, when we're doing our examples, I kind of stress those areas, okay? Because it will happen. Well, you'll be like, I figured the answer out and I got it correctly. And then I'm like, yes, however, the instructions state, and it's all going to be based on facilities, okay? Some facilities want to the 10th place, to the 100th place, to the 1000th place, right? And it's going to be based on that facility. So we're kind of training our brains now, okay? So even if the answer is 5, we look at the fine print in the question where it tells us, I want it to the 10th or 100th, past the decimal, okay? Now, We get in algebra, a decimal fraction is a fraction whose denominator is 10 or multiples of 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. You guys get it. Now, here's a fun fact. Decimal fractions were first developed and used by the Chinese at the end of the 4th century BC, and then spread to the Middle East, and from there to Europe, and here we are in America using them. Now we have decimal places, and this is where I was telling you. So in the number 1,234 decimal 5,678, the point separates the 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the actual whole number, from the part 5, 6, 7, 8, which is the actual fractional part. So like I mentioned, a lot of times you will see we want 2 decimal places. So they'll either say we want 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, or they'll say we want it to the 10th or to the 100th or to the thousandths. Okay, that means they want at least 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, and so on and so on. Okay. Now, we look at kind of approximating or rounding, because a lot of times we have to round, and it'll tell us that as well. If the number is less than 5, we round down. If the number is the same or equal or larger, we round up. And I love this example because it kind of shows just like a roller coaster. 4 and below, you're going down. 5 and up, we're going up. Okay. Here's a better chart. Now, let's look at the number 31. Oftentimes you'll say, they'll ask you, we want it to the 10th place. And you'll have a number that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, decimal place, 3, 2, 5, 6. Okay. And we want it to the 10th place. So remember, after the decimal, it's 3, 2, 5, 6. Well, if we were to come here and we have that 31, or let's say 3, 2, 5, 6, so we're looking at the 32, then we know that we're going to go to the 30th. Now, let's say it was 35, 36, then we would round to the 40th. Okay. So 4 and below, down, 5 and above, high, or round up. We also looking again at rounding to the nearest hundreds, and this is repetitive, but it's just to kind of let us know that, hey, we're going to be doing some rounding. We're going to be doing some converting. So here to the 10th, perfect example, 2.876. The 7 is higher than 5, and it wants to be represented. So you're going to tell me, or you're going to put 2.9. And that's how I kind of remember it. Like, hey, I'm a 7, I'm higher than 5. You're going to represent me. And then in here, 331.699, but now we're looking at the 100th, which is this space. So this 9 is going to take this 9, make it a 10, carry the 1 to a 7. So now I'm looking at 31.7. And it's all going to be based on what the instructions tell us, like whatever facility you work with, how the climate is there. Okay. Couple more examples. Now we have it kind of broken down. Okay. All the way 10,000, you have your ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. I'll let you know we're going to probably stay around here for this particular course. We'll be in the tens or hundreds for the most part, or whole numbers. Now the last 3 digits are 449 or less. Then the number is rounded down again. If the number is like 7,337, the 337 indicates that 7,337 should be rounded down to 7,000. So basically, we're just looking to see what they want. And that's how we'll move forward when we're doing our calculations. Are you guys still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Okay. And I know this is a refresher, so like I said, bear with me. Okay. So we look at rounding decimals. Okay. Rounding just means placing a number with an approximate value that has a shorter, simpler, or more explicit representation. For example, replacing $23 and 4,476 with $23. This slide just gives examples of rounding decimals, okay? We also will be, in some cases, looking at percentages, where you have a percentage being just a fraction expressed in hundredths. 34% actually just means 34 over 100. This is a useful way to make a lot of comparisons. Now, we know that not all percentages are converted to whole numbers. 1/8 equals 0.125. In order to make that a percentage, we multiply by 100 and it becomes 12.5%. Other examples, 1/2, 50%, 0.5. So here's it in the fraction form, here's it in the percentage form, and as a decimal. And then here, 0%, 25% of 100, 50% of 100, and of course, 100% of 100 is 100 over 100. Sometimes we have fractions and they're going to say, hey, turn this fraction into a percentage. Cool, we've got this. Easiest one here, converting 1 divided by 2 is 0.5 times 100 gives us 5%. Couple more. So another way that I remember, or an easy way to remember, to turn a decimal to a percent, you go 2 places to the right. So to the right, it's not a song, right? So just turn it to a percent. But in order to go from a percent to a decimal, 2 places to the left. So when I want to go percent to decimal, I'm going to think to the left, to the left. When I want to go from a decimal to a percent, the other way, it's 2 decimal places to the right. Okay, so that's another way that you can kind of convert besides multiplying or dividing by 100. So example here, 0.29, example 2.12 times 100, of course, gives you 29%. A lot of times you may have different numbers, 0.375, 37.5, to moving it 2 places or multiplying by 100 gives you 37.5%, okay? Again, going one way, going the other. Eliminating the percent and multiplying by the number 1 over 100. So you have 5%, kind of showing you. You have 5 times 1/100ths, equaling 5 100ths. But in mathematics, we simplify to the smallest possible number. We know that 5 100ths can be broken down into 1/20ths. 5 can go into 5 one time, and 5 can go into 100 20 times. Converting percentages to decimals. Example 2.15, 76 divided by 100 gives you 0.76. Converting, or 2.16, you have 4 divided by 100 gives you 0.04. Okay. Like again, just setting us up, letting us know what we're going to be doing moving forward. We also will be talking about ratios, okay? A ratio expresses the relationship of one quantity to another. Ratio is calculated just by dividing one quantity by another. So, for example, if 7 men and 5 women were in a group, the ratio of men to women would be 7 over 5. Or we'll write it 7:5. But we're going to verbalize it 7 to 5, okay? The numbers in 7 and 5 have no common factors, so we can't simplify it, so it's literally 7 to 5. But let's say now we have even numbers. We have 6 men and 10 women in the group. The ratio is now 6 to 10. However, this is not in the simplest form. We think of a number that can go into 6 and 10 equally. Well, 2 can go into 6 and 2 can go into 10. Now we're looking at a ratio 3 to 5. written 3:5, which is said 3 to 5. We also are going to be touching on proportions, where we have a ratio, which is x being a proportion of the whole x plus y. So in our example that we have right in front of us, 2 women out of the group of 10 over the age of 50 have cancer, where x equals 2. And then you have women who have cancer, and then y equals 8, women who do not have cancer. The calculation would be, as you can see, 2 over 10 equaling 0.2. When we express this, if they don't want it in a percentage, we're just going to say the proportion of women that have cancer is 0.2. And then it'll let us know if they want it in a percent form and how many decimal places they want after. When they don't say it, we're going to go 0.2. Same with rates. Rates we look at, and we have to be very careful because errors can occur due to misplacing decimal places, okay? So here, you are driving, and you're going 60 miles in 3 hours. And you want to know, how many miles am I going within 1 hour? So simple division, 20 divided by 1, you're going 20 miles per hour. Let's say you're trying to type, and you're trying to do your typing, okay? And you're like, I just typed for 2 minutes and I did 40 words. Woo-hoo. But you want to be able to write how many words you write a minute. Again, 2 minutes divided by 40 lets us know that here we're typing 20 words a minute. Another thing we're going to be looking at is averages. So when we talk about average, it's the value obtained just by dividing the sum of a set of numbers by the number of the values. Easiest for us to do when we're trying to figure out our average in a class, okay? The student, we're taking 10 tests, not in any particular order, but we had an 82, 78, a 94, 91, 56, and an 85. We add everything up, and let's say the number was 486. We take that number and divide it by 6 to let us know what our average is in a particular course. Okay, we're going to recap really quick. Last day of the class, we all know 9/21/24. We already answered this one as well. The score that you must obtain, 75. Now, a couple questions from your knowledge checks. Which of the following is not considered a vital statistics? You'll get death, marriage, and birth. And census. I don't know why I left that one last. But you're looking at the, go ahead.
Census.
That is correct. It is census. It's kind of like one of these is not like the other, right? Now, this one I'm going to, I think this one was not, this was a bonus from the RHAT. So this one I do not expect you guys to know. You may know it. Which of the following is the correct claim form for a physician claim? It is CMS 1500. Yes, I will be sprinkling RHIT questions too, because like I mentioned, in just 2 modules, we're not claiming this one, you're going to be ready to take that exam. Oh, that was a lot. Now, here we are at week 1. My biggest thing is I do not want y'all to stress. Sometimes math can be intimidating, but we have broken this down to hopefully make it more understanding and making it so that you're comfortable. We did go over the intro to health statistics and mathematic review, which is just setting the foundation for us. Our math trivia, what is the only number that has the same number as letters? 4. And math is the only place that people can buy 64 watermelons and no one is asking the important question, why, right? Now, over the next 11 weeks, I don't know why I said 14, over the next 11 weeks, we're going to be getting deeper into the world of formulas. And like I said, I do not want y'all to stress out. We're going to be talking about data analysis. We're going to be looking at statistical methods that are going to be really important for just understanding and interpreting health-related information. We're going to touch on a lot of touchy subjects. We're going to be looking at surgical infections. There's some videos on surgical infections and mortality, morbidity, okay? When things get a little bit tough, I do a disclaimer on those particular weeks, all right? We talk about autopsies, autopsy rates. We calculate autopsy rates. We calculate morbidity, mortality. We calculate cancer rates, okay? Now, whether you're new to statistics or you're ready to kind of just sharpen what you already know, I am confident that we're going to get this. We're going to conquer. We're going to do it together. And you're going to come out on the other side and say, wow, I actually completed this class. I do want to remind you all that Career Services will be hosting on week 5, 06 August 2024 at 6 p.m. I'm always open. You can reach me, contact me, email me, let me know what questions you have, because I understand that sometimes these formulas can become a little intimidating. Now, for those of you who are comfortable with the apply and reflection, this is where I bid you adieu. For those of you who are like, let me just make sure I'm on the right path, we're getting ready to get into it right now. Changing gears. So again, each week, you guys saw they're timed. Again, if this week does not populate, y'all please reach out, let me know. Okay, now, there are 10 multiple choice questions in the first exercise, okay? I went ahead and pulled up this Math Planet so you can kind of see what you're going to be looking at. Now, it says to read the information and watch the video. Once you click on it, they have rates and ratios, proportions, percents, solving problems with percentages, pretty much kind of what we went over this evening, but it never hurts, okay? So you're going to go through this, kind of click your way through and follow the instructions, okay? Once you do that, then we have a couple of math problems. And I grabbed a couple. So let me pull up my calculator. I don't know if it's going to let me share this evening, but hopefully you guys have yours and you guys can verify what I'm doing. Okay, so we're answering the questions. It's time to reorder stethoscopes. For the nursing staff, the purchasing department has found a vendor site that is selling stethoscopes for 25%. For those of you who like a deal, this one's going to be easy. Now, they're usually $80 per unit. What is the sales price per stethoscope from the vendor? Now, what I would normally do is take $80 minus 25%, letting me know that I get a $20 discount. Woohoo! And our answer is $60. Okay.
I got that too.
Yes. Awesome. Now, this next one, I grab because it has been highly missed in the past. Okay. We have 125 is 40% of what? Couple ways that you can do this. What I would normally do, and let me see if I can get my calculator on for you guys. Give me 1 second so I can share both. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see both. All right, let me clear this out. So what I would normally do is 125 divided by 325 or 312.50. Okay, so again, what did I do? I took 125 divided by 40%, gave me 312.5. Okay. Again, there are 10 questions, just multiple choice, kind of like that. Now, you'll have another section where you're expressing ratios as fractions. So for here, you have 56 divided by 112. We look at how many times 112 can be divided by 56. Let's see, 112 divided by 56. Okay, we know that that is 2. So 56 can go into 56 one time. 56 can go into 112.
2 times.
Okay. I'm trying to grab the harder ones. If there's a question that I didn't grab that you're like, I need help on this, y'all send it to me, okay? Convert the following decimal to a percent. So what do? We can multiply by 100, right? Which will give us 1.5%. And just to calculate, because I trust but verify, 1.5%. Okay. All right, we're not done yet, y'all. There is another section. Okay, so in exercise 2, you're going to the vital statistics in your state. So if you're in Florida, you're going to Florida. If you're in San Diego, you're going to San Diego, okay? And you're going to list 5 areas of statistics that are gathered and reported. And then you're just going to label them. You're going to, whether it's birth, death, divorce. I think here in Florida, which was different from when I was in San Diego, they did do death, birth, immunizations, they have divorce. So you're just going to write those 5 here, okay? And the last part is you're going to access the body of knowledge on the AHIMA's website. So you're going to have to make sure that you log in to the website, okay? Once you log in, you're going to see a couple links. Now, if it tells you to pay for that link, you are not doing that. What you'll do is you'll right-click one of these on this page and then paste it in to the box here, and I will look it up for you and repaste it for you. Okay, so you're just kind of letting me know that you're comfortable being able to get to the body of knowledge and getting to the body of knowledge and grabbing an article. Okay, copying, pasting it, and then putting it into the Moodle and then sending it to me. Okay, nothing crazy. That's all you have to do. And that's why I kind of really want to make sure I went over that. So you're not like, oh my goodness, because I've had it where sometimes the links work, sometimes they don't. Just to make it easier, copy the links that you see when you first get to it. You do not have to do anything crazy. You're not paying for anything. And then I will kind of open up that link for you and then paste it back so you can kind of see. So I just really want to know you're comfortable with accessing that. Does that make sense? What questions do you have for me? No questions?
Can you go over converting from a percentage to a decimal?
Uh-huh. Yes.
I can't remember how to do that one.
Percentage. Here we go. All right. So when we're talking about going from a percentage to a decimal, you're dividing by 100. So in this example, we're not even going to use that one. So let's say you have 35%, okay? And we want that to turn into a decimal. I'm going to divide by 100, and that's going to give me 0.35. Or the other way is to the left. So going back to 35, you're going to go to the left 2 times, 1, 2, and then you'll have 0.35. So you have 2 ways, okay? Divide by 100 or move your decimal place 2 places.
So if I went 78 divided by 100 and it gives me that 0.78, that's my decimal.
That's your decimal. Yes. Great question. That is
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love it. Any other questions?
I don't.
Okay. Well, you guys, welcome back again. Have a great rest of your evening, a great week. Y'all be safe. I know that there's storms all over the country. So y'all just be careful, but I am looking forward to seeing everyone who can attend next week's live session. With that, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.